Bumblebee and Optimus Prime are an iconic duo, especially in nearly all modern versions of the Transformers story. But have you ever wondered how they met? Or how the little yellow bug got his start in the wondrous world of the Transformers? This story comes from IDW Comics' Transformers Annual 2017, titled Ghost Stories. Written by John Barber and art by Priscilla Tramontano. Our story begins in the present day, after the war and Bumblebee's death at the hands of Shockwave. Optimus Prime and Pyra Magna are investigating Crystal City, which is condensed into an artificial black hole. Though we will be skipping over this part of the story to focus more on Bumblebee. We then see Starscream land in the sandstorm outside, accompanied by the ghost of Bumblebee, who has been haunting the Seeker since his death. Wind's getting stronger. Yes, I know. You don't weigh anything, but you're not helping. And your constant yabbering is definitely not... I was trying to tell you. The rust is gonna jam your intake, Starscream. You can seal them off, or you can... Yes, thank you, or I can land. I chose to land. Look at you, former leader of the Decepticon Seekers. Seeking, again. What goes around comes around. Please. The space bridge opened a gateway to Earth, and 2 trucks exited. You're as curious as I am to see if Optimus is poking around with that Camion lunatic. For a guy hearing voices of the dead, you've got a pretty insensitive view of mental health. Shush! They can't hear me. I can, and I want to hear them. They go inside and begin listening in as Optimus and Pyra's conversation shifts to Bumblebee, and Optimus tells the story of how they first met. Before meeting Optimus, Bumblebee was a courier, a mailman. Due to his small, energy-efficient alt mode, he was able to deliver packages quick and efficiently. B had a positive relationship with pretty much every bot he met, and was known for his friendly demeanor and positive attitude. Despite his mundane life, he was happy. That was until the nightmares started. Every night, Bumblebee would begin experiencing horrific nightmares.
You are chosen. This does not end tonight.
Night after night, B would experience torture after torture, death after death, and every night they would tell him to go deliver a package. Eventually, the torment was too much. B had to give in. So he drove out to the middle of nowhere, a desolate scrapyard, just like the nightmares told him. And it was there he would find his package. He held on to it for a while, wondering what was inside, and where it was supposed to go. But he didn't wonder for very long. The next night, the nightmares returned, this time with even more terror and pain. They told him where to go, where to deliver the package, and Bumblebee gave in. Weakened from the mental torture and anguish, he delivered the box to the front step of the Iacon Civic Center. He placed it down and went home. And for the first time in a month, he closed his eyes and rested. Truly rested. No nightmares, no torture, nothing. Bumblebee's rest did not last, however. Soon, they returned. But his mind, or the ghosts, were not finished. Find something, something wrong, they told him. Let it fester, then release. He didn't know why this kept happening. All he was sure of was that his friends wanted a good time Bumblebee. The cycle of find and release spun faster and faster. Was this life from now on? The one constant refrain which chilled him more than his visions. What would his friends do if they knew what was happening inside of his mind? Then, it didn't matter. It was the voices. I didn't have a choice. I didn't know what I was doing. That's what we all tell ourselves, we would think. We believe we would be free from superstition and from unwarranted shame. That we would look at the incident like you and I do now, with the clarity of rational hindsight. But the truth is battered, and beneath down in our most vulnerable place, our mind, most of us would be like Bumblebee. The nightmares had commanded him to deliver one last package. And so he did. The next morning, he would discover the awful truth. Bumblebee had delivered a bomb to a factory in Iacon. With dozens dead, the fear and dread and guilt overtook him, and he turned himself in. He confessed to everything. It was there he would meet 2 police officers, Prowl and a young Orion Pax, the Autobot who would one day become Optimus Prime. I've never seen anything like this. A young bot alone in the world, radicalized by the Decepticons, and immediately regretting his actions. You don't get out much, do you, Orion? We don't know he's a Decepticon. Look, analytics. The old Civic Center, running an out-of-date security codex. Their records were data mined 3 months ago. Police recovered a solid-state communicube, untraceable, but somebody got a hold of a lot of bank accounts. The suspect was there that night. Here, the Memorial Park, we spotted known Decepticon Horrible making a pickup. The suspect was there that night. The spaceport, we get it. And the factory, I get it. But look at him. Is he acting like a saboteur? During the interrogation, Bumblebee began screaming and raving. Something was in his head, scratching away at his sanity. Orion and Prowl called in Jetfire to run a scan. It was then they discovered a transmission being shot straight into Bumblebee's mind. They began to track the signal. I need a full spectrum scan. I think the suspect in 3A might be impacted by an outside transmission. Unusual. I have the signal. Non-uniform sensoidal wave packets. It's a quite clever one-way compression that seems key to high-frequency signals, like those of a Cybertronian neocortex. I'm not sure how to jam it. I don't care if you can stop the transmission, Jetfire, just track it. Orion told Bumblebee to stay, but the small yellow bot couldn't just sit by while his mind was being torn apart from the inside out. When the 3 of them arrived, they discovered the cause of Bumblebee's torment. Shockwave had built a device that could tap into Soundwave's mind-reading ability and amplify his power to be able to affect minds at a long distance. They had been using this device to slowly brainwash Bumblebee, as a test to see if it was a viable way to recruit more bots into the Decepticons against their will. Upon seeing what he saw, Bumblebee immediately lunged into action, tackling Soundwave and beating him while screaming. It was you, right? You sent the signals. You made me feel like a monster, like I was alone. I thought Decepticons say they're for the people. How many more innocent folks have you messed up? Soundwave simply shot B off, using a sonic blast, and would escape with Shockwave, leaving the Nightmare transmitter to be destroyed. As Soundwave entered their escape ship, he looked at Shockwave with a solemn expression under his visor.
The experiment has ended.
I see. Too much for you to handle?
No, Shockwave. We must change minds through reason, not alter them through trickery.
Bumblebee's words had changed Soundwave. For once, the Decepticon had come face to face with one of his victims, and had seen the effect the Nightmare transmitter had on another person. Through Bumblebee's suffering, he had learned empathy, and was one step closer to his eventual redemption. Bumblebee would look off in the distance with Orion. We may have been in over our heads. What we did was needed, and we stood up for each other, like you told me, Orion. We're stronger together than apart. So you think you can use more help? I sort of smashed a speaker and, long story short, I think I need a new job.